It will It will be available on our Atlantic Institute SC YouTube channel next week if you want to go back and watch it and pause and all of that great stuff. I know that for me, sometimes just watching and then doing later when I can do that is real helpful. I want to welcome everybody to our Cultural Creations class, and I'm thinking it's called Zentangle or Zentangle. If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. Our instructor
You're
will
right.
give. What was it?
You're right. Zentangle.
Zentangle. Awesome. And I'm awesome to see what we all do with this. The Atlantic Institute is a nonprofit organization that promotes positive dialogue between different cultures, religions, meeting your next door neighbor. Our vision is of a peaceful world. I am going to show a short 2-minute video about our organization. It'll also allow those people who are still getting in to get in. And then I will turn it over to Heather, who is going to run us through how to do this. So, all right, let me do this. Share screen. There we go. Share slide.
The Atlantic Institute is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting harmonious coexistence between peoples of various cultures, faiths, and backgrounds. We seek this goal through peaceful dialogue, education initiatives, and community organization. Our dialogue events bring together experts, community and faith leaders, and knowledge seekers to address social issues that affect us all. We feel dialogue is the most important element in peaceful coexistence, so we try and maintain several panel discussions, TED Talk events, and book clubs throughout the year. These events touch on social issues, race relations, and cultural understanding and are a mainstay of our programming. The Atlantic Institute's education events are extremely important to our mission of understanding. We want to promote socially forward critical thinking to students of all ages. To that end, we have developed programs that seek to grow the creative spirit of students and help them think about their communities and the world around them. Our Future Leaders of Dialogue event brings together nominated elite students to learn from each other as well as political and business leaders. Our art and essay contest gives students a theme about important societal issues and allows them to create wonderful works of art and writing while steering their minds towards improving their world. We're always seeking ways to educate youths and adults in order to make a peaceful world for all of us. Our community events are designed to transform neighbors into friends and groups of people into a community. By associating with other nonprofits or by our own initiative, we are always trying to discover new avenues to improve our neighborhoods, places of worship, and community centers. We host cooking demonstrations of food from other cultures, work with various nonprofits to help elevate the work of others, and try to find a way to make the lives of those who are disenfranchised or marginalized better. Building a more peaceful world starts in our backyards, so we are dedicated to improving our communities and associations. The Atlantic Institute is always seeking like-minded volunteers and collaborators. If you would like to learn more, find volunteer opportunities, or just want to chat with our staff, please visit our website at www.atlanticinstitutesc.org or follow us on Facebook. We will never run out of fun, educational, peaceful events, so come join us to help make this world a better place full of understanding and unity.
Cheers to you.
All right. Oops, I forgot to stop
and founders.
the video.
Created 5 million events in 2021.
There we go. All right. Let me make sure we've got everybody in. All right, I'm going to turn this over to Heather now. And for those of you who didn't hear, if you want to put where you're from in the chat, it helps me in letting my boss know that we are reaching all over the world for these classes. So you can put that, you can put it to the whole group, or you can put it into just a message to me. And I thank you for doing that. Heather, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I am going to spotlight you now.
Okay. Awesome. So welcome. So this is so funny. because you asked me to do this. Gosh, it was some time ago, and I'm honored to do it. And then I gotten some messages from people in that follow me separately, and so they see a lot of them in the chat. And I hadn't put it out to my group because I was like, oh, this is I didn't want to flood, and I just thought, I don't know, I hadn't until recently. So anyway, have lots of Tangle addicts in the group. We have a lot of fun with Zentangle, and they don't never get to see my face. So just because of the way my setup is. So what I'm going to do though, I'm going to stop my video while I move my camera because I only have one camera set up. So as you're saying, hi and where you're from in the chat, let me tell you a little bit about Zentangle as I move my camera, and then you can see the other things that I do in with my life. In my static picture there. So Zentangle was started as a way to create a way to teach meditation through art. And without going to the whole story, because as I said, having somewhat limited time, I'm kind of modifying how I'm doing today, so that way we get maximum tangling time, which is most important. But it, like I said, it teaches a way to do meditation through art. But what I found was art and meditation through this. So hopefully you have, let me see how I did moving my camera without seeing. Oh, no, you don't want to see that. Let's not have the background. I choose no background. There we go. All right. So hopefully you have some materials, and whether you have, normally you just see my hands because this is the way I do it. So hopefully you have some sort of piece of paper. What I have is this is a Zentangle tile, and it's 3.5 inches square. So if you're working on a bigger sheet of paper, feel free to just, cordon off. I'm hearing something. I don't know what that is. Okay. Sorry. Oh, I see. I have something on here that needs to go off. Apologize. Oh, good. It's going to continue to go. Sorry about that. Let's always technical things. There we go. Quit that program. Very good. So anyway, if you cordon off that size, then for our timing, that will be good. And what Rick Roberts and Maria Thomas came up with in the Zentangle method, they didn't invent the tangles. They created, words around the tangles, the word tangle itself, and a method. And so that's what they created. I'm gonna, I have to just do one other setting that I didn't think about here, because usually, I do the touch up my appearance thing because, one must when it's offered. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's unblurring it a little bit. So I will be sharing at the end a link to these 8 steps and the instructions. So don't worry about making notes or anything. Just immerse yourself in what we're going to do. Hopefully you have a pencil and a pen, a fine liner of some sort, but whatever you have will work with. And if you have something to smudge the graphite, we call this a tortillon. I haven't called it this in a long time, but I used to call it the smudgy thing, because that's what it does. All right, so starting off, our first step is gratitude and appreciation. And I appreciate the fact that all of you have joined in today. I appreciate the Atlantic Institute for their good work. And I usually do a deep breathing type of thing, but we're gonna, if you just want to take a deep breath and just kind of erase, when you inhale, think of the minutia in your life, and exhale and get rid of it by any means that you wish. And I usually say, including lighting it on fire and flushing it down the toilet, whatever works for you, great. And then just think of something that made you smile. And we'll just do that in one breath. And we'll inhale 2, 3, 4, and we'll pause. And then we'll release it. 2, 3, 4, and then we're kind of centered and ready to go. Our next step is on your paper or wherever you've cordoned off, we're going to put 4 little corner dots, just like so, lightly with the pencil. And okay. And then we create the border. The border can be straight lines, it can be curvy lines, it can be whatever you want. We're just connecting the dots to make a frame. So that way we have something that we can work within. Now I will mention that the lines, the pencil is just a suggestion. You can go outside of it if you want to. It's up to you. And I misplaced my. I had a trust. Oh, I do have my trusty string. Okay, the next thing we do, we call it a string, and what it's going to do is divide up this space. And so, if you imagine a string and you drop it, and then let's see if I can try to drop it and make it do the same thing again. Nope, I can't even get it in the same place. Nope. And so that's what we're going to do. But so when you're doing this, if you do it on your own, great. Just know that this part you don't have to do. You can do it however you want. But for today, we're going to just do a V. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come from the right corner and kind of go down to the center, and then go back up to the other corner, because we should have enough time to do 3 tangles. And in the tangles that I select, they teach a certain aspect or technique in Zentangle. And that's why I pick these ones, because I want to make sure that when you do it again, which I know that you will, because I just do believe that you're going to love it. And then you know some of the lingo and all of that. And I say I'm looking, hopefully I'm not looking too blurry to you all. It seems like it's being blurry on my side. Okay. So there are some decisions to make in this. And I'll do some more about the story as we're tangling. But you get to pick one of these sections to start with. And I'm just going to start here. And the first tangle that we're going to do, and I'm going to write them on the back of my thing. If you want to write them, if you have a back of something or just on a side paper, this is called Crescent Moon. All of our tangles have a name. Sometimes they make sense and sometimes they don't. They're fun. This one, actually, no, I'm going to start it over here. We're going to work whatever section you pick. We're going to work within this pencil line. So going around the edge of it, we're going to put little circles. Oh, you know what? Let me back up for a moment. On a side piece of paper on the back of whatever you have, I've forgotten about the test. If you can write a straight line, and then an S, and then a C, and then an orb, an O, O for orb, and a dot. If you can do those, you can do this. These are the elemental strokes that we use in Zentangle. So everything is going to be made up of, one or more of those. So this is the C shape, and we're going to go around the side and leave a gap in between. You get to decide how big of a gap you want to leave. And we're going to fill these in as well. So just going around. Oh, I'll put one in the corner. And if you are a tangler and you have something thicker to fill in, feel free. And that's what I'm going to do. But that's our next part, is just filling these in. Now, if you ended up with something kind of like this one on mine, this one looks a little slanted to one side. When we fill it in, I call these things course corrections, because there's no such thing as a mistake in Zentangle. We have a few philosophies that we follow. This is one of them. It's the biggest one. So no mistakes. Whatever you do is fantastic. but like I said, we have course corrections, and this is one of them. Because when you're, if it's filled in, well, then it doesn't matter if you go, well, I think I want this to go a little bit off to the side here. Oh, okay. Nobody knows. It's our secret. And we also, don't worry about things, necessarily being uniform or anything. It's all just good. Now, the thing that makes Zentangle meditative is the repetition. Also, because these strokes are so simple, and so simple that anyone can do them, we don't have to worry about that as well. So we can just focus in on what we're doing and not think past it. If you were to buy a kit, from Zentangle or from a CZT, you also find that there's no rulers in there for for a similar reason. We don't want to get caught up in, oh, it must be perfect, so I must have a ruler in order to make sure that it's perfect and lined up and whatnot. We just try to, none of that. We have none of that. All right. If you have completed your little, sometimes we call them bumps, or they look sometimes like little ladybugs crawling, around the outside there. Our next step is what we call the aura. And it's one of, I want to say, probably the most used technique in Zentangle. Essentially, it's an outline. And I did not mention, but I will now. We like to turn our paper as we're going. We like to have our hand planted for the most part, and then use the natural curve of it. So that way everything just stays comfortable. So to aura, you're going to aura each one of these. And if you watch for the first ones, especially if you've not done it before, we're outlining that little bump. That's what we're doing. And then going around whatever direction you want, we go one at a time and fill in. I'm just looking right now because there's usually a point, because we're gonna keep going around and around and around until we have no more room. And sometimes there's a point where you can't go back to this string line, and I like to show that. So I might go out of order, just fair warning. And I think I'll go out of order here. Let's see, can I fit two? Oh, you know what? Let's see. And if you want to just watch really quick, so like right here, I have this spot. So this becomes a game in my brain, because we're going, like I said, we're auraing, we're going back to the string line. But here it's like, well, I don't know what to do. I can probably get one through, but I don't know if I can get another one through and leave a similar gap. So what I end up doing is, so I'm going to start mine right here, and then I kind of make that decision. Nope, I'm not going to go through. What I'm going to do is stop right there, kind of go into a crevice, and then aura the next one, like that. It feels like it's misbehaving here. There we go. That fixed a little bit. So when you get to that point, and because everybody has, I don't know what your space looks like. I don't know how tight your these filled in bumps are. So when you hit one of those places, that's what you do. Otherwise, I just keep going around one at a time, and talking to myself, go slower. So that way, and I try to go slower, watch the pen. So that way then my lines are a little bit nicer. Oh, and I'm going to do that again right here. I'm adding to, I call this, in my brain, I call this bouncing, because it's like I'm bouncing in between. And again, we just keep doing this until we have no more room. And I should mention, say, if you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat, because I, we'll be monitoring that. So if I if I lose you on something, I want to make sure to know. But as I finish this up, so the story of how this got started, Maria is a calligrapher and was working on some lettering and doing some patterning inside a big letter for something. And Rick comes in and interrupts. I think maybe it was lunchtime or something like that, and she was like, well, had lost time essentially, and it was like, is it that time already? I can't believe it. I thought I just started. And as she was describing how she felt, Rick, who had I think he lived as a monk or lived with monks for a number of years and studied meditation anyway, and said, that sounds like the reverie that you get from meditating. And so the light bulbs went off, and oh, well, hey, this is a neat idea of a way we could, maybe teach meditation through art. And so then they set out, and just kind of came up with all of these great ideas, taking patterns that she probably used in her practice of calligraphy, and then seeing things, in nature. And what they do is then they call it deconstructing. So they take a pattern and deconstruct it into those essential, those elemental strokes that I mentioned, and then create step outs is what we call them. They're basically instructions on how to do. And you will get a copy of those. As I said, I'll put that link in at the end here, so that way you'll have it. And so they created that, and they created this method that we're going through right now. So this is the way to do it through, to kind of get that meditative benefit. Oh, and there we go. And it's really, really neat. And as I said, I found kind of both through this. I was not don't consider myself an artist at all. And those that are on that come to my our classes, my mom joins us because she's the one that introduced me to this. She is the artist, even though she doesn't like to admit it, and it's all her fault that I'm doing this. So we blame her a lot, and we have a lot of fun. But it's just neat because I like it. Yeah, that's right. In that. Like I couldn't believe that something neat could come out of my hand. I didn't do great in art class. I had, would have ideas, but wouldn't be able to do anything with them. And this has just opened up a world of both for me. If on the meditation side, I know the benefits, but my brain doesn't shut up long enough because it's like 2 seconds in and I'm like, all right, what do I need to get from the store? Oh, I need to remember to do this. And I start making lists in my head. And this gives me an opportunity to just focus on what I'm doing and just this, and it helps a lot. So now if you are like close to done or done and you see, oh, look, I've got these little gaps on the outside, we're going to just do the same idea and aura just coming from that other direction. And I just do it until you fill up all of the space, and all of the space that you want to within that section that we're doing. And I I put just a little teeny triangle just to fill in that little gap because I could make something fit. And then that's it. That's it for that one, I should say. So Crescent Moon, we learn about auraing and practice it. And yours might have turned out different. I can't wait. Hopefully at the end, we'll all show so we can see. And let's say, and I said one of these, we'll do shading at the end, and I want to keep moving ahead. So if you're not quite finished, you can always go back and finish, and that's okay. But I want to make sure that I get at least these 3 things in before our time is up. So next, we're going to do the tangle called Halabao. And if you watch Zentangle videos, or if you decide you really like this, if you've not experienced this before, and actually we should have put that in the chat too. If this is your first time doing this, I would love to know that in the chat as well. If you've never heard of it, you just saw it, you thought it was interesting, would love to know that in the chat. So Halabau is a technique as well as it's a tangle. And this is where we learn how to draw behind. And you pick whichever section you have left. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to just pick the next one because I like to have things coming off of other things. So I'm going to do it from right here. So this, pick your space to draw a straight line coming from wherever you want, just a straight line from one side of that section to the other, just like that. And then, let's see, I'll do it this way. We're going to essentially aura that, so we'll use that.
I want you to spell Halava.
Oh, right here. HOLLIBAUGH. Halabau. Okay, Dodie. Oh, and else. Okay, good. We have several. That's awesome. Okay, so once you have your first line, then we're going to essentially aura it. I'm going to pick how thick I want to have it. Okay, this thick. And draw another straight line on either side, just like so. Then here is, okay, yeah, yay. Oh, I like see, yeah, that we have no. Oh, and thank you for putting that spelling in there. And like I said, you'll get a handout afterwards, and you'll have all the information. So we're gonna pick another direction to go. We're gonna draw another straight line, but we're gonna draw it underneath this one. This I call them boards because, and I forget what his name is, Mr. Halabau, because that is actually their last name as well. It's one of Rick and Maria's daughters, and he does woodworking. So this is going to look like a pile of boards. So I'm just going to pick this angle. And so here's what we do is I take in my line. When I come to this one, not going over it. So you stop there, pick up your pen, travel it over, put it down on the other side and continue on. I like to do the traveling it over because that way it gives some continuity to that line. And that one looks pretty good. It's as if I did draw it underneath. And then same thing, we're going to, we'll just aura that line. Again, stopping at the line we come to, travel over, put your pen down on the other side and continue on. And then this one, you just keep turning your paper, do this in different angles, fill it up as much as you want to. This one is, I like it having some openness. Actually, I think I'm only going to end up doing a couple, it looks like, on here. And this one, like a lot of things, Zentangle, there are variations and things that people do with them that make it a lot of fun. But it's kind of like you just keep, I'm going to put one. I just need to have something over here. You just keep going until you feel like you're done, and then you're done. And on this one, if you want to, because I like to do this sometimes, I like to put little orbs, little filled in dots in the white space that's between all of these. And it's one of those, you don't have to, I just like to. For those that are seasoned tanglers know that, you can put anything behind. You could put things inside. We have a lot of fun with it. And nice. I like the new. Oh, and Dawn, thank you. I'm glad that this has been informative so far. Just great. And this one, because I did mine kind of big, so I'm gonna give a minute. We'll see that the platform I use. We have everyone keep their webcams off just because it's hard to see, and we don't have the ability to just have one thing made big, and so it's kind of nice that I can kind of gauge how they're doing. by whether I see tops of heads or tapping fingers. And we have one section, like I said, and I probably could have done the other because I ended up going a bit fast, but we'll have time for questions and other things as well. And to say, I don't like to, I want to make sure that everyone has enough time, because this is supposed to have some kind of, some Zen with it. In my sessions, we add laughter to Zen because laughter is the best medicine. It also makes us not take ourselves so seriously. And it's good in a number of ways like that. So we like to have fun. And that's one of the things that I thought, say, going back to the no mistakes and not taking ourselves seriously. That's why I thought was what a great thing that the Atlantic Institute is doing. It fits in so well. Oh, that's okay, Dory. If you went into your third area, that's all right. Because you know what? There is this whole outside area. And I did mention that the pencil line is just a suggestion. So if you end up going outside of it, that's okay. I like to stay inside, and then I have to stretch myself to make sure I go outside of the lines every once in a while. And that gives me an idea also. So we can have extra fun. Yes. And good, Diane. Absolutely love laughter. Yes. Yay. All right. So I'm going to move ahead to the last section here. And say, look at the time. If we have time to do something else, I will add it in. The next one is called, I have to skip it down here, printemps, or printemps. I don't know if you pronounce the S. It's French for spring. I didn't take foreign language in school. They didn't require it, so I didn't do it. The most foreign language I got is whatever I got in music, so I don't have like the whole, the way to form the words down, but printemps. So that's what we're going to do. This one is kind of a free form tangle. So we had Crescent Moon, which is like a fill in. Hullabow is fill in also. This one leaves more gaps where Crescent Moon is more solid. This Hullabow is more on the free form side as well, because you can turn do whatever angle you want. On Crescent Moon, the most freeform we have is where we're placing the C shapes on the outside, but then from there it's pretty structured. So this one, pick a place. I'm going to pick the middle and just put my pen down, and then I'm going to bring my pen around, essentially around the dot, but it's coming from the dot. So it's like we start off with a curved line, and then we're continuing to aura around and around that curve line until you feel like stopping. Up to you. Now, you can also, when you end it, you can leave it open-ended like this, or if you want, you can close it in on itself, like so. Either way, it's up to you. So this one, we're going to practice the Hullabow by just doing that. Just the printemps tangle. And I'm going to do another one over here. I like to spread mine out around and do different sizes, and then work to fill in, because essentially we're going to fill in as much as we can the space. But the way my brain works, I typically would start in one corner and make a row of them. So in my effort to work towards being artistic, this is how I figured out how to do it. It's like, oh, well, if I do that, then I can come back. So like right here, I'm going to also use the Hullabow technique. So I'm going to tuck one in the middle here, but I'm going to on purpose make it big enough that I have to go under, so that way I can show you that you can do that. So same concept. As soon as you come to a line, you pick your pen up, have your pen travel over, and then continue on the other side. And then you can do this as many times as you want. And like I said, I just keep making my pen go in that circular motion until I'm done. And so then we have one tucked underneath. And if you're, thank you, Jen. If you're like me and you don't consider yourself an artist or really far from it, this is where you impress your friends. They'll be like, oh, I can't believe you did that. It's like, well, I did. And you don't have to tell them your secrets if you don't want to. And She Dragon says, yeah, the Navajo built a mistake into everything. Yeah, they create to remind themselves there's no such thing as perfection. Yeah, absolutely. I think there are other cultures that have done that as well. And I remember my mom pointing out, like in pottery, if you can't see the finger lines from then it wasn't created by hand. So there's certain things that are neat signs to know, look, I made this. And we want it to look like you made it. And then the other thing with that, as I'm filling in my print tops here, is that because the art form was started as a way to teach meditation, it's also just, it's everyone's individual personal journey. So I have things that I wouldn't have thought when I first did this that I would work to overcome some things like internally through this. I hadn't thought of that at all. It wasn't presented to me in that manner. But what I found was it was such a boost to my creativity and taking risks, but I mean, not risks like, daredevil type risks, but, just putting the pen to paper is pressure. And that's why I like having the pencil. Actually, that's why we start with doing the pencil stuff, the four corners, the border, the string, because for some of us, the white, just this is overwhelming. Just having a blank piece of paper is too much pressure. So that gets us working on it. It also gives us some structure to work within, where some people don't have that problem. They don't have to, to work at it. So I find myself a lot thinking, if you were tangling, you would just do this. So then I'm like, well, I should just do it. I'm just going to, hold my breath, just hold my breath and just, take the leap of faith and know that it'll probably come out all right. And if not, then you find a way to make it better. And that's another thing about the no mistakes philosophy is, so say, like somebody mentioned, I went into the other area by mistake. Well, there's no mistakes. You could just work around it. We figure out ways to either fit it in or not worry about it. And we do have kind of a last resort, which is a tangle called the Bronx Cheer, which I can share with you as well. But we just learned, it's like creative problem solving. And it's so much fun. And it's just neat when, in a situation or thinking about something and Zentangle just pops in my head. And I'm like, well, yep, there we go. I learned this concept, honed it. And you just wouldn't think that you would from putting a pen to a piece of paper. Well, actually, it kind of exemplifies to the saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And so as you can see, I'm trying to get these tucked in as tightly as possible. What we will do is we will fill in all of these little gaps, which is also an opportunity for course correction. So if something, like sometimes my last ones will be a little wonky, and then it's like, oh, well, I can just shave a little bit off of that line right there. It's all good. But every little crevice that you can find, once they get, tight in here, then we just fill those in. And what's neat about that is it makes it pop. it makes such a difference in the pattern overall. Yeah. And then, oh no, I'm doing good on time. Okay. And then we will look at some shading in a moment here. And then we will all look at what we all did for those that are willing to share. And I will try to grab a screenshot. It should work just fine. And then I'll share that back with Paula there. All right. Yay! Neat. Oh, thank you, Steph. I like to show my enthusiasm because it's so much fun. It never gets old. I can't tell you how many times I've done, these patterns in this setup, and it's like it's always different because you're doing it fresh. It is just always different. All right, so if you are close to done and want to grab a pencil, we'll look at some ideas on shading. And shading is something that they kind of added after the fact, because it's like, this is nice. And, but, once you add some pencil, it breathes a little bit of extra life into it. So I share that. So if it's one of those things, it's like, if you just end up not liking doing that, that's okay. It's your tangle. You get to do what you want with it. Add that in. And then usually shading is where I find where I miss things. So, okay, so we're going to go back to where we started with the crescent moon. And there are, 100 ways to Sunday to shade. I'm just going to show one way, maybe two. We'll see how, sometimes you just get inspired and you go with it. But for this one, in between the little C shapes, I'm just going to put, and this is again with the pencil. And we like to, they make the mini pencil so that way you can kind of tuck it in here and have it be on its side a little bit. That way we don't dig into the paper. And then depending on what kind of paper you're working on, which makes me think I need to back up a second. Let me back up a second. And have everyone test your pencil on your paper, because if you're using, depending on the type of paper you use, will depend on like how light, how heavy, and then how you use your tortillon or whatever smudgy thing you might have grabbed. So I just put a little line of graphite like so. And then grab your, so if you have a tortillon or a stump, or I think I put, you can use rolled up paper towel, or just a rolled up any kind of piece of paper, or a cotton swab or anything. And what I like to do is do little circles. And you can see how it is moving the graphite. Now these Zentangle tiles are a cotton paper similar to like watercolor paper. So they call it toothiness because you can feel a little texture there. So it's nice because then the graphite moves nicely. Also, you can, if you just want to go back and forth, you could do that too. I just learned, some people have a physical limitation to doing that. So, it works. It's just a matter of, we just want to get the graphite from here and then see how far can you go before it just, turns back into the tile color. So developing that nice gradient, that's part of the objective. And then two, you see how, this line is straight. I didn't go over it this way. We just want to be able to bring it down in the direction that we want to bring it down into. So going back to the crescent moon, so you don't have to put it over, the areas that you filled in with the pen, because that would be redundant. So in between, and that's when I'm just bringing it out a little bit and into the crescent moon pattern. Sometimes I like to bring it right, almost like right to the edge, if not a little bit further than the little bumps, just because to me, I like the way that looks. And then this is like playtime. So, spread your graphite out a little bit. You might want to pick up your tile or your paper, hold it at arm's length, or, if you have a mirror handy, you can, mirror or a camera, because it always looks different on the camera. Oh, and Donna, yeah, it's just a special pencil. This one is one that comes in the Zentangle kits. But other than that, like, I'll use a golf pencil a lot of times. Just a regular number 2 pencil works fine. And then later, if you want to get fancy, you can get into those, the ones that have the numbers on the side, if you wish. But no, regular number 2 works perfectly. I like them to be a little bit dull, just because I don't like to have a groove in that, and that's too why I use it on the side a little bit. But so if you see, what's neat is by doing that, it kind of creates a little bit of a curve. Something else that if you feel so inspired, I think I'm going to leave mine. I'm not going to do it on this one, but you can put graphite on these corners and follow that path. Oh, heck, maybe I'll just do it that way. I can show you. Because that's part of it. And see how it's now made. I'll just do it on one side. And I'm just using what's left on my tortilla. Sometimes they get a little full of graphite. Yeah, so this way you can see from this side to this side. Here I put a little graphite in those peaks, and then here I didn't. So this is where you learn what things you like. You put them in your mental toolbox for Zentangle, and maybe you try them a different day, maybe not, but they're there. And that's basically what I do on that one. Now you say you could even do it the opposite way if you wanted to, because it's neat, because it kind of goes down into what looks like a hole. So if you made that dark, because when you make it dark, it kind of recesses things. And so you could play with that aspect too, and just do the center dark, and just lots of fun. So moving to Halabau, find that first line, so a line that has nothing, going through it. And that's your first line. And what I'm going to do is put some graphite on the outside of both sides of it. And what I like to do is put the tip of my pencil, I do it with the tortillon also, the tip of the pencil on the line that I don't want to go over. I've heard Rick phrase it as where you want it to be the darkest, that's where you put the tip, which it makes sense. And I'm just going to do this first one first, just because it's so amazing and so you can see. And I'm just spreading out the graphite. This one I kind of do a little bit more of a back and forth, because I don't want to spread it out too far. Well, I should say a little bit of circles. But here's what's neat about that. You see how this line has been transformed. Besides the fact that it's kind of floating, it looks brighter than even here where it's untouched. And that just, it blows my mind every time I do it. It's just remarkable. So in this one, I put graphite on the outsides of all of the lines. So if there's a straight line, it's going to get graphite on the outside of it. And And as long as you follow that, then you are good. Because what this does is it also emphasizes the, what I call the over-under effect of the boards. And did I get them all? No. And so same thing, and just spreading out that graphite where it is. And working to not go into, not going into the board unless, of course, like right here, I mean, this is where, this one went under here. So of course I put the graphite there and, we'll spread it out. So it, like I said, it emphasizes that this is going under here with the shading. It's just neat. And then it also creates a neat background at the same time. Yeah. And it creates such interesting depth. And again, just by putting the graphite on the outside of every straight line and then using the tortillon to spread it out. Now we'll use that same idea in the print tops. But this one, so if you did some like me that are completely on top of others, this one, because we're going in, it's a circular, same concept, but we're doing it on the outside. And so you could pick some that are on top and do this and just do it on the outside, do just a few. I think this one, I just get, more into the play of it. But you could also just put the graphite where you can see that it went under. And if you didn't end up taking any of the print tops underneath other ones, you just select some to put some graphite around and spread it out, and it'll just automatically give you that dimension. I have played with like putting a little, like a wedge inside the print tops to make it look like it's like a seashell, like that, where it's sticking up a bit. But I've need to hone that a little bit more. But that is something else that you could play with too. Let's see. Voila! And it's just, like I said, it's amazing. It never gets old. The depth that can be created just by using some graphite strategically. It's so neat. So being that we have a couple minutes only, let's see, I don't know, if you want to remove the spotlight, then if anyone that wants to show theirs, then we can. And thank you, Maria. Oh, and Diane, that's okay too. All right, so that way we'll see. Let me see if I can move the chat. Oh, there we go. All right.
Yep, I removed the spotlight. So
okay. Perfect.
They would have to unmute and talk. That'll bring up their thing, but I can see their pictures now. Let's see. If you view in a gallery, you can see. Oh, there we go. If you view in a gallery, you can see everybody's pictures. This is awesome.
Yeah, let me go full screen. Oh, and we've got numbers of, okay. So far, it looks like it's just the first page that has people.
Oh, there we go. There's 3 pages.
Yeah, I see 3 pages. We'll see if we can get, oh, I see some on the others. Okay. So if you, hold them up and hold them steady. I'm going to snap I'll do 3 screenshots apparently. And if you don't have it up in front of you, just smile pretty. No. All right, so I'm gonna snap it now. So just hold them, and then I have to do 3. So there's 1, and because I don't want to have it there's 1. Save. No, I'm trying to do it quick so nobody's hands falls off. And
I also got them as well. So.
oh, did you? Good. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Good. Did you get all 3?
I only got the 2 pages because the 3rd page doesn't have anybody that did any.
Oh, okay.
On mine, it doesn't.
Oh no, mine too. Okay. Perfect.
Yep. So.
All right. Well, I got them, so I will then, and I think I can share my screen. A-I-2. Well, let's see. Okay. So because this is what I usually do on mine. Let's see, where is it? There it is. And this is part of really of the last step. And are you seeing my screen here that has everybody on it? Or are you just seeing, or do you see my email?
We see
No,
everybody.
we can see
Okay.
everyone.
Okay, good. And so what's fun is just enjoying what everybody did. And, sometimes we get really great ideas, but well, actually I missed the last step. The second to last step is we sign and date our tangles. We can do that afterwards. And then the very last step is to appreciate and have gratitude again. And what's neat about this is we see everyone's individuality and the beauty that everybody creates. We all come from different levels of being able to hold the pen and write steady, right? And nobody knows what anyone's story is, and it doesn't matter. But we all look at all of the neat, unique art that was created with the same instructions. And I think that it's just so neat, and being able to appreciate everybody and what everybody has done. And that's where I think it can bring the world together too, through art. So meditation, world peace. We'll add that to the list of things that Zentangle do. But I just think it's really, really neat to be able to appreciate. And
So Heather, do you see Mel Quintina's on there?
let me see.
I don't see it.
I don't. Oh, let's see. Maybe we're on the second one. Let me try the second page and saying for those that are here's number 2.
Here's
Or I just goofed it. I did. Hold on. Well, maybe oh wait, there. Is this different? Nope, that's the same.
Remember, everybody, she's going to give an instructions page at the end of this class in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm do it. So don't get out yet.
I'm gonna do that right now.
So I should make it right.
Yeah, and here's I'm gonna put my email address in. It's on the sheet as well. But if you want to email me your picture, and then I'll send this back over to Paula. That way you can put together a neat, montage for your stuff.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So let me answer the question about real quick about the color. So for the Zentangle method, we just focus black, white, shades of gray. If you want to do color, you can add color, but for the meditative aspect, to eliminate things that we have to think about, we don't do that now, because I know some, it's like it looks like on a prepped tile is what we call it. I did a class where we used all kinds of things on the tiles to add color as a background, and then you can tangle on top of it. That takes off the decision of having what you might color in, but we call it Zentangle inspired art then. But the method, the actual method, it's black, white, shades of gray on a 3.5 inch piece of paper, because and actually I didn't know this until recently, and I was rereading some of one of their books, but they timed it. They found the 3.5 inch piece of paper by timing tangling on different sheets because they were aiming to do something in like, I think it was either 15 minutes or a half an hour time. So that way you can take this little break and that's it. You know, it's very, very interesting. They put a lot of thought into that. So you can take a little, you know, like I said, 30-minute vacation, you know, with your little tile, but they've come up with all kinds of other things and it's expanded from there. So I hope that answers the question. You know, and just like all of the quote unquote rules that we have, they all are meant to be broken at the same time, just like the beginning steps. You don't have to do those parts if you don't want to either. It just helps you, you know, to get working on the paper. And that's why I like to explain everything as I go. So that way, then, you know, well, here's why they do that. Oh, okay. And I don't have to if I don't want to, and it's okay. But I understand why. And that I always like to make sure of that.
So Heather,
Yeah.
in the advertisement picture that you sent me, and that is my background.
Yes.
There's a question in that, but it's not answered. Can you answer that question?
I think mine is the one that's in the lower right. It should have. So here's my chop, if you will. See, which way do I want to have this go? Because usually, so like they said, the ending thing is, oh, well, you pick which way you feel like is up and which way you feel is down. And then you would put your initials, you know, on that side. So my, you know, or if you have a chop, which is, I want to say, is that Japanese? It's basically, you know, your initial, your little signature. And I think that one in that corner should have that. I can't see the full picture, but yeah, I think that one is mine.
Let's see if we can spotlight me.
Yeah.
Oh.
See. Yeah, I said, oh, you know what? Let me see if I have the full thing, but I'm looking. Yeah, that looks like it's my work.
I'm trying to move.
Yeah, to move to the sides. Yeah, you know, sometimes you can tell. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm pretty sure that one is it. Yeah, the lower right.
This
corner. It looks like me. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. But and that's what's so fun is that, you know, when you do a mosaic, and I had showed someone, they see the end result and they say, oh, I can't do that. I can't draw. Well, I can't draw either. And then that's why I came up with that, because I showed her, said, well, here, let me show you this picture from a group. I said, and they were all new.
That is awesome. It's a great advertisement tool. I'm sure it drew a lot of you in that didn't already know Heather into doing this, because I you know, when you look on it in Eventbrite, it's like, whoa, what is that? And you dive into the Eventbrite a little more. I saw it, you know, I go looking for more instructors and different crafts things, and I saw it, and I clicked on it once, and I'm like, oh, that's mine.
Oh, that looks interesting. Oh, well, that's why.
That's why I wanted to say you did great. It really draws people in. I do want to say, if anybody knows of a craft, a hobby, an art that they would like to see on our cultural creations thing, you can email me or send it here in text. If you know an instructor or an instructor yourself and would like to do this, I have open availability next year for dates, and I am looking to fill them in. I do have a few filled in already. We're going to do plarn, we're going to do clay throwing, we're going to do photography. And what about with wrapping paper? I don't remember. I think like making your own wrapping paper sort of thing. So, yes. So, but go out to Eventbrite and check it. If you haven't already followed me on Eventbrite, go ahead. We also have Atlantic Institute SC website, as well as our YouTube channel, which puts our videos out there usually the week after we do the videos. So please check into us. We are looking for a peaceful world. And with that, I am going to stop the recording, and everybody have a great day.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.